The depth, the detail to character, it's just amazing, even more than the anime. We're gonna start with an honorable mention, and that being Buggy and Arlong's interaction in the East Blue. I loved it. It made so much sense. The East Blue isn't a big place when it comes to like piracy and pirates. We know that's the weakest blue. It's the blue that represents the Marines' dominance. So for them to have the two biggest pirates interact, and the biggest one, the bigger one, Arlong, who was like the king of the East Blue, for him to come to Buggy and it's like, yo, know your place and know who really runs this. I just liked it. That was amazing. You can see that whoever is behind this just knows about One Piece and cares about One Piece, and stuff like this is what made the live action extremely successful. Number 5, we have Mihawk soloing Don Krieg. We know in the anime and manga, Don Krieg made it back to the East Blue, made it to Baratier, and then Mihawk followed him, didn't finish him, Luffy finished Don Krieg, but cut the ship and all that good stuff, and the fight with Zoro happened. And there's nothing wrong with that, but if you was to think about it, and let's think about like a multiverse, if that scenario was to happen 10 times, I would like to think that about 6 or 7 of those 10 times, they don't even make it back to Baratier. They get finished off right there and then. And that's what the live action did. Before they could even get anywhere, one man made it out. Jean was the one lone survivor to live to tell the tale, while everybody else got wiped out in the Grand Line. Don Krieg don't even make it back to the East Blue to Baratier to fight Luffy. Taking out the Luffy versus Don Krieg fight, which is one of the best fights of Luffy in the anime in early One Piece, was bold and switched up Baratier a lot. It took away the climax of Baratier and switched it to just Zoro versus Mihawk, which was the biggest action moment of Baratier in the live action. And that worked out just great. No complaints about that. But Don Krieg not even making it back to the East Blue versus a warlord, and Mihawk at that, just a beautiful change. Number 4, we have Nami's and the crews to an extent, but mainly Nami's disapproval with Luffy not telling them Garp is his granddad. And I just love that too, of like tension in the crew, because they weren't really a crew at this point, but tension in the group already because of this, which makes so much sense and is so realistic. This is a live action. The goofy level of One Piece should be toned down a little bit, and it should be a little closer to reality. And that's what it was. If you were a part of that crew and then you find out that Luffy's granddad was Garp of all people, not just a Marine, not just any other rank, not a captain, not a lieutenant, a vice admiral. And Garp, of all vice admirals, Garp, that's basically an admiral. And now he's chasing you because you're on his grandson's crew or ship or boat or group, whatever you want to call them at this point in time. And specifically for Nami to be the one to have the biggest problem with it, knowing her situation was with Arlong and her being so close to collecting the bounty she needed to buy back her village. She's like, I can't get caught. I cannot get caught. And that's a threat. I'm this close and I'm about to get caught because your dumbass don't want to tell people who your grandfather is. I was having a great time with the live action. That was amazing change. Number 3, Zoro's introduction and Zoro actually being a bounty hunter for a period of time. We know in the anime he's Zoro the pirate hunter. We were told he was a bounty hunter and probably the biggest bounty hunter in the East Blue at the time. But very early in the anime he meets Luffy and he joins the crew, and we never actually see him hunt pirates other than like the pirate battles with Luffy. But he isn't being a bounty hunter. He's just being a pirate on Luffy's crew, fighting Luffy's enemy or their enemy. In the live action, from his introduction was him being a bounty hunter. In his intro, Baroque Works, a bounty hunting organization, comes to recruit the best bounty hunter in the East Blue. That just makes so much sense. He turns it down, defeats Mr. Seven, and then turns him in for a bounty. That's how he ends up in Shell's Town to meet Luffy in the first place. The reason why he accepted to stay in the yard for the 7 days was also because Morgan's kind of threatened him. It's like, hey, you beat up some of my men, I get this word out, you can't go around collecting bounties at other marine bases, so what you gonna do? So his career as a bounty hunter was the reason he accepted his punishment on the yard in the live action. Everything just makes so much sense. And when Luffy first asks him to join his crew, he's like, I hunt your kind. Pirate hunter. That seems to be the most logical way this conversation would go, of a pirate asking a pirate hunter, a bounty hunter, to join his crew. And that's the way it went. Just amazing script writing. These people were in their bag. Morgan's asked Zoro to join the Marines, and he's like, nah, I got my own thing going on. Mr. Seven asks Zoro to join Baroque Works. I got my own thing going on. Luffy asks, I hunt your kind. I'm a pirate hunter, bozo. What are you asking me? Even after he joins Luffy, kinda, and is following him around, when Luffy beats Kuro, Zoro's like, damn, we can't collect his bounty. Still staying true to his bounty hunter roots, since he's technically not a pirate yet and didn't join the crew. The depth, the detail to character, it's just amazing. Even more than the anime, who just abandoned his pirate hunter ways after he joined. He just kept it until he officially joined the crew. Which also kind of makes sense for the anime, because I guess he committed to Luffy right there and then, so he was no longer a pirate hunter, so he wouldn't have to do that in the anime. But in the live action, he didn't commit to Luffy just yet, so he stayed true to his pirate hunter ways until that moment. So it works for both. But this just feels a little better for some reason. We get to see Pirate Hunter Zoro before, like, if the live action actually continues, and we get to see the crew grow, we get to see the before Zoro, and then we get to see him change to becoming like a pirate, and then not caring about collecting bounties anymore, because now he's a pirate, no longer bounty hunter. And the anime was just straight to pirate. We didn't get to see the before and after. The live action, we see before and after. Number 2 is kind of controversial, because I also have mixed feelings about it, and I've seen a lot of people online also do have mixed feelings about it. The reason it's number 2 is because of the first part, which is Garp's involvement in Roger's execution. Any One Piece fan should be able to realize how amazing it is, knowing the connection between Roger and Garp, for Garp to be there when Roger dies. When that happened, I was like, why the hell wasn't he there in anime? You got Dragon, you got Smoker, you got Mihawk. Why wasn't Garp there in the anime? Roger, not only the man that this man chased for years, and they said that every time he heard his name and heard that Roger was somewhere, he went to where he was so they could fight. The man who trusted him so much, even though they were enemies, that he entrusted his son to him to raise an ace. That hooked me from the first moment that show started. I heard the voice, I'm like, is that the narrator? Then I saw Garp, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is perfect. Why wouldn't Garp? As soon as I saw it, like, watching the anime, rewatching One Piece in the anime. When One Piece was around Whole Cake Island, I stopped and then rewatched the entire thing. Periodically, I go back and reread portions of the manga. Never once did it cross my mind to be like, why wasn't Garp at Roger's execution? Until the live action, and then it was immediate epiphany of like, this makes so much sense. Absolutely he would be at Roger's execution. There's no other place for him to be. The second half was Garp's increased involvement in the East Blue Saga. I didn't really like the why of him testing Luffy to see if he really was ready for being a pirate in the Grand Line, which I could kind of see Garp maybe doing that. Not really, but a little bit. But I don't see Garp catching Luffy like they did in the live action and then just letting him go because I was just testing him. You would have to find your way to get away from Garp. I don't think he would just let you go. He may make it easy for you, or easier than normal for you to escape, but him just straight up, I'm not gonna capture you because this was a test, I didn't really like that. But overall, his increased involvement in the East Blue and Luffy calling Mihawk was cool. So the second half is kind of 50-50, but mostly that first half, that involvement in the execution, gold. Gold, no pun intended. And number one, the purpose of Roger's execution. In the anime, it was kind of like this was the king of the pirates. He was a threat, he was a demon, and he's just someone we gotta get rid of. And he died, you know, Mandy asked the question. He said the speech, and the great pirate era begun. That's how it felt like in anime. In the live action, it was stated clear. Just like Whitebeard in the anime, this was supposed to be a deterrent for all pirates and people who were thinking of becoming pirates. Because remember, we were told there weren't many pirates back in these days when Roger and Whitebeard were active and still at their peak. The pirate era didn't start just yet. There was a few of them. And you can imagine it was probably like just slowly becoming worse and worse, and with Roger's rise and notoriety as now Pirate King, and then him being caught, the world government is like, let's nip this in the bud now by killing the Pirate King. And that was stated to all you who want to be pirates, know that this is the price you may have to pay. But it all backfired, because instead of it being a deterrent, it became the biggest event in pirate history, with Roger saying those words and the pirate era officially started. And they showed you both, the Garp stating the reason and this being a deterrent, and then Roger's speech, and then everyone scattering to go become pirates as they speak, and Garp's face, and kind of seeing what just happened. This is not the intended outcome we wanted. So in the live action, they depicted the start of the great pirate era just a little bit better than the anime did. Like, it just felt like you felt like all the people were just running to go build boats right that moment and just set to sea and start sailing. In the anime, they didn't have that feeling of it. They gave a little speech, and you see all the boats coming out. It just didn't feel the same. It just felt like an intro, and it felt like it was more about Roger's death. The live action, you felt the purpose behind it. You felt the fact that this was supposed to end the piracy, and the fact that it did the complete opposite and blew it up. So for me, those were the best 5 changes the live action made to the material of the manga and the anime. But what do you think? Did I miss something? Did I leave something out? Was there something I listed that you hated? Tell me why. Let's talk in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Yeah. I know that you gon' say, 'cause you need something real, for real.